So that's it for this lesson, but remember that for next class, you have to make your assignment on China's economic reform. To make your investigation, you have to take into account three main points. First, you have to make a brief review of China's 30-year reform. Take notes, please. Then you have to make a summary of the main economic reforms of the last years up to today, as well as the projected effects. So you have to focus on the future too. Then you have to summarize a few international critiques and give your own. Please, your own opinion is so important for this class, and you know that. Thank you guys.
Okay guys, so let's get together.
Yay! Economic reforms! It is the best day of my life. There is no time to waste.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go on YouTube to search for information to start our video.
Yes.
China's growth in the last 30 years has experienced a double-digit growth. During this period, China had a set of policies called the Beijing Consensus. The idea was to understand and prevent the model from vulnerabilities and increase the GDP. A developing country needs to implement two important policies in order to advance. First, improve the environment for business operation. Second, improve social capital so resources can be used more efficiently. The economic history of China is divided in four important stages in order to transform the system. This would emphasize openness and cooperation with other countries, increase efforts to adopt technology in the globalizing world, improve education and health to bring modernization. In this first period, they eliminated the laws that constrained the ability to behave productively and mainly implemented agricultural and land policies as well as opening the trade to seek for autonomy. Then, the period that aimed to manage domestic resources and invest in infrastructure focused on the transportation system in order to move labor from the outlands to the cities. The period when investment surged, China's physical capital mingled with its human capital in order to create a balance for further growth. The second, liberalizing reform. Nowadays, individuals and businesses have incentives to change their behavior in ways that generate greater productive activity from the same set of assets. It began under Deng Xiaoping up until 2008 global financial crisis. The Chinese economy grew nearly 10%, making it the second greater economy.
Welcome to the Global Economic Forum. Joining us today, we have four experts that will be talking about the Chinese economic reforms and the challenges that these bring to the country and to the international arena. Now, our panel is conformed of Shang Ji, official representative of the Chinese government; Shen Dong, economist graduated from Peking University with a PhD from London School of Economics; Hannah Miller, financial expert, graduated from Yale University with a master from Harvard University; and finally, Sarah Bonetti, managing director of the World Bank. Now, to open up our forum, we'll start by asking Shang Ji about the Chinese market. Now, Shang Ji, what do you think about the Chinese market and about what the government is doing to open it?
Well, that's a tricky question. In fact, the Chinese government is retreating from trying to relocate resources. They are redirecting to five main functions: macroeconomic management, market regulation, supervision of society, and environmental protection. This reform wants to give the market a decisive role in reallocating resources instead of the government trying to control and distribute assets to the enterprises they see fit. In addition, prices will be determined by the market, tariff barriers will be removed, and factors of production will flow freely. There's going to be more support of private enterprises and sectors that used to be untouchable, such as oil and drilling that wasn't open to foreign direct investment, and now they'll be open. This is needed to incentivize innovation and production to supply their domestic demand, and also to increase competition for our state-owned enterprises that are being very inefficient, and now this will make them more efficient, and this will stimulate free market factors.
Thank you so much, Shangji, for your contribution. Now, Shendong, what is your opinion on how the financial reform is evolving?
Okay, I think that the financial sector is taking a turn. China is opening up to the other rest of the countries and also to the private sector. The small and the medium banks can set up, and also there is a foreign investment that promote equity in the private enterprises. In addition, the interest rates are more liberalized, and there is more financial products and financial opportunities for the small enterprises. And China currency is also being more internationalized due to the border transactions, and there is also more financial regulations for the consumer protection. So that's what I think.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Now, going back to you, Shangji, there has been rumors that China is undergoing a transition in the way they want to achieve sustainable growth. Could you please explain this more thoroughly?
Yes, of course. China is in transition from investment-led growth to consumption-led growth in order to contribute to more sustainability in the long run, which includes the free market economy that I mentioned earlier and increasing consumers' purchasing power. The government wants to stop its growth based on investment in construction and excessive credit, and switch to reforming the tax system to reduce savings rate and increase consumer spending, which will increase productivity.
Very interesting. Now, Hannah, would you like to expand on Shangji's point?
Certainly. Apart from increasing consumption, which has increased from 9% to 52% as a share in the GDP, the reforms are also focused on encouraging the service sector and direct investment towards health and education to develop a much healthier and more productive labor force. So yes, the main shift here is reducing investment while expanding consumption to ensure that consumer demand is met by the local supply at reasonable prices. And because of this transition, China will not be expanding growth at the double-digit rate that it has experienced so far.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. It is very important to take those aspects into account. Now, to continue with you, what is China doing for the future?
In 2015, China announced its 13th five-year plan for 2020, which revolves around five main talking points, which are innovation, coordinated development, green growth, inclusive growth, and openness. This plan revolves around sustainable growth as well as maintaining medium-high growth of a 6.5 annual percentage.
Thank you for all your contributions. And finally, to end with today's forum, I would like to address Mrs. Benetti. We know that China has been able to increase its economy rapidly during the last 30 years due to the implementation of the policies that transform the country in several ways. But can you please talk about the side effects that this decision left?
Yes, of course. So, the economic reforms have been going on and reinforced after China joined the World Trade Organization. But the economic reforms didn't happen alone. They have happened along with political system reforms and legal system reform. Also, we have to know that the economic development has influenced and improved the democracy, political freedom, and the legal system. Also, we can say that the economic reforms have significantly improved Chinese people's lives, increased their income, their urbanization, but at the same time, it has brought pollution and a lot of social problems, such as income disparity and the problem of resource reallocation caused by the population flow. And finally, we can say that China is mainly dealing with corruption and the problem of pollution right now. The real estate bubble is also another problem, but the government is able to intervene in all aspects of the economy.
Thank you, Mrs. Benetti. Now that's a wrap for today's forum. Thank you guys for being here. It was an honor to have you, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Greetings, world. We are Millenniums. Since 2013, the Chinese government presented to the world the grand transition from investment to consumption-led growth. Financial, fiscal, administrative, and market reforms are all part of an ambitious plan of the current president, Xi Jinping, especially in the 5-year plan for a more sustainable growth by 2020. This will have a great impact worldwide, taking into account that China is the second largest economy in the world. The government will experience many challenges to implement these reforms, which can cause financial risk, great volatility, and great internal resistance. So, does China have the political muscle to push the reforms past resistance from state-owned companies to other interest groups, as well as addressing all the structural problems? Possibly not. We are millenniums. We are warriors. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.